Lawrence's investigator arrived at exactly 8 a.m. Her name was Monica Reeves, and she looked nothing like I'd expected. Instead of some hard-boiled detective type, she was a petite woman in her early 40s, with natural hair pulled into a neat bun, wearing a crisp pantsuit and carrying a designer briefcase that probably cost more than my monthly rent used to. "Miss Carter," she said, extending her hand, "Lawrence has told me about your situation. I'm sorry for what you're going through." Her grip was firm, her eyes sharp and assessing. She reminded me of the kind of woman who missed nothing, who could read a room in seconds and find the one detail everyone else overlooked. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," I said. "Lawrence and I go way back," she said, settling into Lawrence's dining room chair and opening her briefcase. "He helped my sister when no one else would. So when he calls, I come. Now, let's see what we're dealing with." I spent the next 2 hours walking her through everything. The birthday dinner, Patricia's accusation, the evidence they claimed to have, Marcus's betrayal. She took notes on a tablet, occasionally stopping me to ask clarifying questions. "You said they showed you bank statements on a phone," she said. "Did you get a chance to see the actual account numbers? Bank names?" "It was all blurry," I admitted, the soup in my eyes. "Convenient," Monica murmured. "What about the forensic accountant they supposedly hired? Did they mention a name, a firm?" I tried to remember. "No, Marcus just said the forensic accountant confirmed it, but he didn't give specifics." "Also convenient." She made another note. "And the police report. Do you know which precinct they filed it with?" "They didn't say." Monica exchanged a look with Lawrence. "So we have accusations of evidence, but no actual evidence. No account numbers you can verify. No accountant you can contact. No police report you can check on. What are you saying?" I asked. "I'm saying that if I were framing someone, I'd do exactly this. Make vague claims about documentation without providing any actual documents for scrutiny. Create urgency and pressure so the victim doesn't have time to think clearly or ask questions. Use emotional manipulation, in this case, your son's betrayal, to overwhelm your critical thinking. So they might not have any real evidence? Oh, they probably have something," Monica said. "Forged documents, fake bank accounts. These people are professionals, according to Lawrence. But the documents might not hold up under real scrutiny, which is why they're keeping you from seeing them clearly. Why they're pressuring you to confess and return the money, instead of letting this go through proper legal channels." "But Marcus said they filed a police report. Did he show you a case number? Give you a detective's name?" When I shook my head, Monica continued. "Then we need to verify that claim, because if they haven't actually filed a report, if they're just using that as a threat, then we're dealing with pure intimidation, not a legal process." That thought hadn't occurred to me. Why wouldn't they file a real report if they have evidence? "Because real reports mean real scrutiny," Lawrence said. "Police investigation, discovery process, the possibility that their frame job falls apart under professional examination. Much easier to pressure you into running away or admitting to something you didn't do." Monica pulled up something on her tablet. "Lawrence sent me the information about the spyware on your phone. I have a colleague who specializes in cyber forensics. With your permission, I'd like him to analyze your phone and computer, track where the spyware came from, document everything. Will that help prove I didn't open the bank account? It'll help prove someone was surveilling you and had access to your personal information. Combined with other evidence, it builds a case for identity theft and fraud. But we need more." She looked at me seriously. "Ms. Carter, I need you to be completely honest with me. Is there any possibility, any at all, That you did something that could be misconstrued as suspicious? Any large deposits you made? Any equipment you borrowed from the practice? Anything at all? No, I said firmly. The only money I've deposited in the last year was my paycheck from the dental office where I work. The only thing I've ever taken from Marcus's practice was leftover lunch one time when he insisted I bring it home. I've been careful about boundaries specifically because I didn't want Shanice's family to have any ammunition against me. But they found ammunition anyway, Monica said thoughtfully, which means they created it. The question is how extensively and whether we can prove it. She spent another hour asking detailed questions about my finances, my work history, my relationship with Marcus and his practice. Then, she moved on to questions about the Williams family, how I'd met them, what I knew about their background, any odd interactions I'd had with them. Patricia always made comments, I said, thinking back. Little digs about my clothes, my car, my house. Nothing overtly hostile, just diminishing. Like she was reminding me that I wasn't in their class. Establishing dominance, Monica said, making you feel inferior so you'd be less likely to challenge them. Classic manipulation tactic. What about Bernard? He was always polite, but distant. Like I was an acquaintance, not family. But there was this one time. I paused, remembering. About 6 months ago, I stopped by Marcus's practice to drop off some documents he'd left at my house. Bernard was there, in Marcus's office, going through files. He seemed surprised to see me, almost nervous. He said he was helping Marcus organize some paperwork, but it seemed odd, because Marcus is meticulous about his files. Monica and Lawrence exchanged another look. 6 months ago, Lawrence said, right around when the spyware was installed on your phone, and when the financial irregularities at the practice started showing up. You think Bernard was setting things up? I think Bernard had access and opportunity, Monica said. But we need proof. Lawrence, do you still have your contact at DataTrace? Yeah. Why? Because if Bernard or anyone else accessed Ms. Carter's personal information through credit bureaus or databases, there'll be a trail. DataTrace specializes in tracking those kinds of queries. She turned to me. I'll need you to sign some authorization forms. We're going to pull your credit reports, check for any unauthorized inquiries, see who's been looking at your information. How long will that take? A few days for the full reports, but I can get preliminary information by this afternoon. She checked her watch. In the meantime, I want to visit Marcus's practice, talk to his staff, see if anyone noticed anything suspicious. Are you willing to come with us? Some of his employees might have seen you there before, might be more willing to talk if you're present. I hesitated. If Marcus finds out, it's Sunday, Lawrence said. The practice is closed on Sundays. We'll just do a drive-by, scope it out, maybe talk to some neighbors or nearby businesses. Low-key reconnaissance. Nothing that will blow back on you, Monica assured me. Right now, we're just gathering information. The real work comes later. We took Monica's car, a sleek, black sedan that looked professional and forgettable at the same time. As we drove back into Chicago, I watched the city wake up. People heading to church, families out for breakfast, joggers in the parks. Normal life continuing while mine had fallen apart. Marcus's practice was in a renovated building on 47th Street, nestled between a soul food restaurant and a barber shop. The sign read, Southside Family Medicine, Marcus Carter, MD, in clean, professional lettering. I'd been so proud when he'd first opened it, had stood right there on the sidewalk, taking pictures like a tourist. Now, I sat in Monica's car across the street, feeling like a criminal casing a target. Nice location, Monica observed. High foot traffic, visible from the main street, close to public transportation, good for a practice serving the community. He chose it specifically for accessibility, I said. He wanted patients to be able to walk there if they needed to. Lawrence was studying the building with the intensity of someone conducting surveillance. Security cameras on the corners, alarm system visible through the window, standard stuff, but it means there's footage of who comes and goes. Footage that the Williams family might have access to, Monica said. If they've been planning this for months, they could have manipulated or deleted relevant recordings. Or they could have created recordings that make it look like Diane was there when she wasn't, Lawrence added. My head was spinning again. This is insane. How do people even think of this stuff? Practice, Monica said grimly. Years and years of practice. Lawrence told me about the organization he's been tracking. If the Williams family is connected to them, then they've had decades to perfect their methods. She pulled out a camera with a long lens and started taking photos of the building, the surrounding businesses, the street layout. We'll want to document everything. Compare it to any photos or videos they might present as evidence. Look for inconsistencies, things that don't match up. The restaurant next door had people going in and out. The Sunday after church crowd, by the looks of it. Well-dressed families, elderly couples, groups of friends, the kind of people Marcus had wanted to serve, the kind of people who trusted him. Can we talk to some of them? I asked. The restaurant patrons? They might have seen something. Let's talk to the restaurant owner first, Monica said. Establish rapport, get permission. Then we can casually chat with customers. Nell's Kitchen had been there for 30 years. According to the sign, the owner, a formidable woman in her 60s who introduced herself as Nell Patterson, recognized me immediately when we walked in. Ms. Diane, girl, what happened to your face? She came around the counter, her expression concerned. Kitchen accident, I lied. The burns were covered with bandages, but they were still obvious. Nell said, in the tone of someone who knew a lie when she heard it, but wasn't going to push. You here for breakfast? On the house, baby. You look like you need it. Actually, Miss Patterson, we're hoping to ask you a few questions, Monica said, introducing herself and showing some kind of credentials I didn't quite catch. About Dr. Carter's practice next door. Nell's expression shifted, became more guarded. What kind of questions? Just routine inquiries, Monica said smoothly. We're looking into some inventory discrepancies at the practice, trying to establish a timeline of who had access to the building over the past few months. Inventory discrepancies? Nell looked at me, then back at Monica. You're investigating Marcus? We're investigating the situation, Monica corrected. Ms. Carter here has been implicated in some irregularities, but she maintains her innocence. We're just trying to establish the facts. Nell studied me for a long moment, then sighed. Come on back to my office. Can't have this conversation in front of customers. Her office was a tiny room behind the kitchen, barely big enough for a desk and a few chairs. But it was private, and Nell shut the door firmly before settling into her chair. All right, now tell me what's really going on, she said, looking at me directly, because I know Marcus filed a police report yesterday about missing equipment, and I know he mentioned his mother might be involved. But I also know you, Diane Carter, and you don't strike me as a thief. My eyes filled with tears at someone finally believing me. You know about the police report? Marcus came by yesterday afternoon, asked if our security cameras might have caught anything suspicious. He was all torn up about it, said his mother had been stealing from him, but he was trying to handle it privately first. Gave me a timeline of when things went missing. Asked if I'd check my footage. And did you? Monica asked. I did. didn't see anything unusual. Just the normal comings and goings. Patients, staff, delivery people. I told Marcus that, and he seemed, I don't know, not relieved exactly, but not surprised either. Like he'd expected the cameras wouldn't show anything. Because whoever really took the equipment knew about the cameras, Lawrence said. Knew how to avoid them or disable them. Nell frowned. You're saying Marcus's wife's family did this? Because I've met them. They come in here sometimes. Always polite, always tip well. Don't seem like criminals. The best criminals never do, Monica said. Ms. Patterson, I need to ask you something sensitive. In the time you've been neighbors with Dr. Carter's practice, have you ever seen anyone accessing the building outside of normal business hours? Anyone who seemed like they were trying to be discreet? Nell thought for a moment. There was that man, about 3-4 months ago. Showed up real early one morning, before the sun was even up. I was here prepping for breakfast service, and I saw him through the window. Well-dressed black man, maybe 50 or so. He had a key to the practice. Let himself in like he owned the place. My heart sank. What did he look like? Tall, distinguished, gray at the temples, wore glasses and a nice suit, even at 5 a.m. Bernard Williams, I said. My son's father-in-law. He was there for maybe an hour, Nell continued. Left carrying a laptop bag that looked heavier when he left than when he went in, if you know what I mean. I thought maybe he was helping Marcus with something, so I didn't mention it. But now it looks suspicious, Monica finished. Ms. Patterson, do your security cameras keep footage from that long ago? I keep everything for 6 months. Then it gets recorded over. But 4 months ago would still be there. Monica leaned forward. Would you be willing to let us see that footage? And any other footage from early mornings or late nights over the past 6 months? Nell looked at me again, her expression serious. Diane, you swear to me you didn't steal from your boy? I swear, I said, my voice breaking. I would never hurt Marcus. Never. Someone is setting me up, and I think it's Shanice's family. Nell was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. All right, give me a few minutes to pull up the files. But Diane, when this is over, when you prove your innocence, you and Marcus are going to have to sit down and have a real conversation about trust, because that boy should have believed you from the start. I know, I whispered. Believe me, I know. What's on that security footage? Comment your predictions. Don't forget to subscribe. The footage was damning. Not for me, for Bernard Williams. We watched on Nell's grainy security system as Bernard let himself into Marcus's practice at 5:17 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in July. He was alone, moving quickly, but not panicked, like someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Can you zoom in? Monica asked. Nell manipulated the controls, bringing the image slightly closer. Bernard was carrying a laptop bag and what looked like a small briefcase. 47 minutes later, he emerged. The laptop bag now bulged noticeably, and he made 2 trips to a black SUV parked at the curb, loading boxes into the back. Those are inventory boxes, I said, recognizing the shape and size. Marcus keeps his supplies organized in those specific containers, and he's loading them into his vehicle, Lawrence said, in the middle of the night when no one would see. Except Ms. Patterson's security cameras, Monica said with satisfaction. This is exactly what we need. Bernard Williams had access to the practice, had opportunity to take equipment and supplies. This establishes that someone other than you was removing items from the building. But it doesn't prove I didn't also take things, I said, trying to stay realistic despite my hope. No, Monica admitted, but it casts serious doubt on the narrative that you're the only culprit. And If we can establish that Bernard was taking things, it raises the question of why he'd do that, and whether the whole investigation is a cover-up. Nell pulled up more footage. We watched as Bernard made 3 more early morning visits over the next 2 months, each time leaving with boxes and bags. On one visit, he was accompanied by another man, younger, maybe in his 30s, who I didn't recognize. Probably one of his associates, Lawrence said, taking photos of the screen with his own camera. Monica, can you get copies of all this footage? Already on it, she said, connecting a drive to Nell's system. Ms. Patterson, this is incredibly helpful. Do you mind if we take this evidence? Take whatever you need, Nell said. But listen, you all need to be careful. If Bernard Williams is doing something illegal, and if he's got the resources you're suggesting, then he's not going to take kindly to being exposed. We know, Lawrence said grimly. We're being careful. And Diane. Nell looked at me with motherly concern. You can't go home, can you? You need a place to stay. I hadn't even thought about it. I'd spent the night at Lawrence's, but I couldn't impose on him indefinitely. And I definitely couldn't go back to Marcus's house, my former home. She's staying with me for now, Lawrence said, before I could answer. Until we sort this out. Nell raised an eyebrow at that, but didn't comment. Instead, she pressed a business card into my hand. My daughter has a spare room in Evanston. If you need somewhere more permanent, call her. Tell her I sent you. Thank you, I managed, overwhelmed by kindness from someone who barely knew me. We take care of our own around here, Nell said firmly. Marcus might have forgotten that, but I haven't. As we left the restaurant, my phone, the burner Lawrence had given me, buzzed. Lawrence had programmed his investigator contact into it, along with a few other numbers I might need. But this wasn't one of those numbers. This was unknown. I showed it to Lawrence, who frowned. Don't answer it. They must have already figured out you got a new phone. Let it go to voicemail. We waited. Sure enough, a voicemail notification popped up. I played it on speaker. Mom, Marcus's voice, tight with emotion. I don't know where you are. And honestly, I'm not sure I want to know. But I'm calling to tell you that if you don't return what you stole by tomorrow morning, I'm moving forward with pressing charges. No more chances, no more extensions. Patricia wanted to go to the police immediately, but I convinced her to give you this one last opportunity. Don't waste it. There was a pause. Then, I really thought you were better than this. I really thought my mother was someone I could trust. I guess I was wrong about a lot of things. The call ended. I felt like I'd been slapped all over again. Not because of the threat. I'd expected that. But because of the disappointment in his voice. The finality. Like he'd already written me off. Already decided who I was. He doesn't mean it, Lawrence said quietly. When he learns the truth. When he sees what really happened. Will he, though? I interrupted. Will he see it? Or will Patricia and Bernard convince him that any evidence we find is fake? That I manufactured it somehow to cover my tracks? That's why we need ironclad proof, Monica said. Not just footage of Bernard taking boxes, though that's a great start. We need to trace where those supplies went. Who bought them? Who benefited? We need to prove that the money didn't go to you. And we need to prove that someone else opened that bank account in your name, Lawrence added. That's key. If we can show identity theft, show that your information was stolen and used without your consent, then the whole case against you falls apart. Monica checked her phone. I've got my cyber forensics guy meeting us at Lawrence's place in an hour. He'll analyze your devices, trace the spyware, document everything. In the meantime, I'm going to run the footage through enhancement software. See if we can get clearer images of Bernard and his associate. What about the bank account? I asked. Can we find out where it was opened? Who signed the documents? That's trickier, Monica admitted. Banks don't just hand over account information, even to the account holder. We'd need a subpoena, which means involving law enforcement. But if Marcus filed a police report like he claims, then there should already be an investigation underway. We can try to contact the detective assigned to the case, present our evidence. If there is a detective assigned to the case, Lawrence interrupted. We still need to verify that Marcus actually filed a report and didn't just threaten to. We drove back to Lawrence's house in silence, each of us lost in thought. My 48-hour deadline was ticking down. I had less than 36 hours left before Marcus supposedly went to the police. Less than 36 hours to prove my innocence and expose the truth. The cyber forensics expert, a lanky white guy in his 20s, who introduced himself as "Just call me Fletch," arrived with a duffel bag full of equipment that looked like something out of a spy movie. "So, someone's been spying on you?" he said cheerfully, connecting my phone to his laptop. "Let's see who and how thoroughly." He worked in silence for several minutes, his fingers flying over the keyboard, screens filling with code and data I couldn't begin to understand. Monica watched over his shoulder, occasionally asking questions I couldn't follow. Finally, Fletch whistled, low. "Wow, okay, so this is professional-grade stuff. Military contractor-level spyware. Whoever installed this had serious resources." "Can you trace where it came from?" Lawrence asked. "I can trace the command and control server. That's where the data was being sent. But these kinds of operations usually route through multiple proxy servers to hide the true origin. It'll take some time to work backwards through the layers." "How much time?" Fletch shrugged. "A day, maybe 2. But I can tell you what they were tracking. Every call, every text, every website visit. They had access to your camera and microphone, could turn them on remotely without you knowing. They tracked your location 24/7. They had keylogging software recording every password you typed. Basically, they knew everything about your digital life." I felt sick. "So, they could have gotten my social security number, my bank information?" "Everything," Fletch confirmed. "With this level of access, they could have filled out any form, applied for any account, signed any document digitally, all in your name. You'd never even know it was happening." "But we can prove it happened," Monica said. "We can show that this spyware was on her phone, that someone was monitoring her. That's evidence of identity theft." "Absolutely," Fletch agreed. "I'll document everything, create a forensic report that would hold up in court. But you should know, whoever did this is going to know that you know. The spyware sends reports to the command server. When I started analyzing it, when I started tracing the connections, that would have triggered alerts on their end." "So they know we're investigating," Lawrence said. "They know someone's looking at the phone. They might not know it's you specifically, might think it's just a regular security scan or something. But if they're smart, and based on this setup, they'll assume the worst, which means they'll accelerate their timeline," Monica said. "Push harder to get Diane to confess or disappear before the evidence comes out." As if on cue, the burner phone rang again. This time, it was a number I recognized from the display Lawrence had shown me earlier. The main line for Marcus's practice. "Answer it," Monica said. "Put it on speaker. We'll record everything." I answered with shaking hands. "Hello, Ms. Carter," a woman's voice, professional and cool. "This is Detective Lisa Morrison with the Chicago Police Department, Financial Crimes Division. I'm calling about a report filed by your son, Dr. Marcus Carter, regarding allegations of embezzlement and theft. I need you to come in for an interview." My heart sank. So Marcus really had filed a report. There really was a police investigation. When? I managed to ask. Today would be best. We're located at, don't commit to anything, Monica mouthed at me. I need to consult with my attorney first, I said, the words feeling foreign in my mouth. I'd never had an attorney, never needed one. There was a pause. Ms. Carter, I should inform you that failure to cooperate with this investigation could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. It would be in your best interest to come in voluntarily. I understand, Detective, but I still need to speak with my attorney before I give any statements. Can I call you back? Another pause. Longer this time. You have until 5 p.m. today to arrange an interview. After that, I'll have no choice but to request a warrant from the judge. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. Good. I look forward to hearing from you. The call ended. I looked at the others. What do I do? If I don't go in, they'll arrest me. But if I do go in, you don't say anything without legal representation, Monica said firmly. And before you go in at all, we need to verify that was actually a detective. Lawrence, can you call the Financial Crimes Division? Confirm that there's a Detective Lisa Morrison assigned to this case? Lawrence was already dialing. We waited while he navigated through the police department's phone tree, eventually reaching someone who could help. Yes, I'm trying to reach Detective Lisa Morrison. She called my client about a case. Uh-huh. Yes, I'll hold. He waited, his expression growing more puzzled. Finally, thank you. Yes, I understand. He hung up. Well, I asked. There is a Detective Lisa Morrison in financial crimes. Lawrence said slowly. But according to the desk sergeant, she's been on vacation in Hawaii for the past week. Won't be back until Wednesday. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. That wasn't a real detective, I whispered. That was someone pretending to be a detective, Monica corrected. Someone trying to pressure you into turning yourself in, or panicking, or running. Someone who knew that a call from law enforcement would scare you into making a mistake. The Williams family, I said. They're escalating. Or they're getting desperate, Lawrence said. Because we're getting close to something they don't want us to find. Fletch had been listening while continuing to work on my phone. Now he looked up, his usual cheerful expression gone serious. Guys, you need to see this. He turned his laptop around, showing us lines of code and data. The spyware? It wasn't just sending data to one command server. It was sending to 3, which means multiple parties were monitoring Ms. Carter's phone. Multiple parties? Monica leaned in closer. Who? I can't tell you names yet, but I can tell you locations. One server is routing through an IP address, registered to a business address in Hyde Park. One is going to a server farm in Arizona that's commonly used by corporate security firms. And one, he hesitated. One is going to a server that's registered to the city of Chicago. City of Chicago? I repeated. You mean the government? I mean someone with access to city government resources. Fletch clarified. Could be legitimate law enforcement. Could be someone with law enforcement connections using government resources illegally. But yes, part of your phone surveillance was being routed through city servers. Lawrence's face had gone pale. That's how they knew to impersonate a detective. They have someone inside the police department. Or multiple someones, Monica said grimly. Lawrence, this is bigger than we thought. If they've got police connections, if they can fake detective calls and access city resources, then they can make Diane disappear. Lawrence finished. They can arrest her on fake charges, hold her indefinitely, make her disappear into the system. By the time anyone realizes something's wrong, it'll be too late. We need to go public, I said, the idea hitting me suddenly. We need to expose what's happening before they can cover it up. If people know I'm being framed, if there's public scrutiny, they can't make you disappear as easily. Monica agreed. But we need to be strategic about how we do it. We need a sympathetic journalist. Someone who'll take the time to understand the full story. Someone who can't be bought off or intimidated. I know someone, Lawrence said. Jamal Winters. He's an investigative reporter for the Chicago Tribune. We worked together on a story about housing discrimination a few years back. He's good people, and he's got integrity. Can you get him here? Monica asked. I can try. Lawrence pulled out his phone. But Diane, you need to understand. Once we go public with this, there's no going back. Your life will be under a microscope. Every detail will be scrutinized. And Marcus will know you're fighting back, which means he and the Williams family will fight harder to discredit you. I thought about Marcus's face at the dinner table, telling me I deserved to have boiling soup thrown at me. I thought about Patricia's satisfied smile, Bernard's early morning thefts, the fake detective trying to intimidate me. I thought about all the patients at Marcus's practice who might become victims if this organization wasn't stopped. Call the reporter, I said firmly. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to fight back. Lawrence nodded and stepped into another room to make the call. Monica continued reviewing the security footage with Fletch, looking for more evidence, and I sat there, watching my old life burn down, while trying to build something new from the ashes. My phone, my old phone, not the burner, buzzed with a text. Lawrence had left it on the table, turned off, but apparently it had powered back on somehow, or been powered on remotely. The text was from an unknown number. You can't run forever, Diane. You can't hide. We know where you are. We know what you're planning. Stop now, or you'll regret it. This is your last warning. I showed it to Monica, who took a photo of the screen before powering the phone completely off and removing the battery. That's it, she said. That phone is evidence now. No more using it for anything. Fletch, can you pull the data from this text? Trace where it came from? Already on it, he said, connecting the phone to his equipment despite the removed battery. They're scared, I said, realizing it. That's why they're threatening me. They're scared of what we might find. Good, Monica said with a fierce smile. Scared people make mistakes, and we're going to catch every mistake they make. Lawrence came back, his expression cautiously optimistic. Jamal's coming. He can be here in 2 hours. He's bringing a camera crew. Says, if we're going to do this, we should do it right. Full interview, show your injuries, present the evidence we have so far. What if Marcus sees it? I asked. What if it makes things worse? Diane, Lawrence said gently, things can't get much worse. Your son thinks you're a thief. His in-laws are trying to frame you for crimes you didn't commit. Someone just threatened you. The only way forward is through the truth. He was right. I knew he was right. But the thought of exposing our family drama to the world, of airing all this pain and betrayal publicly, made me feel sick. What do I say? I asked. How do I tell this story without sounding crazy? You tell it exactly as it happened, Monica said. You show the burns on your face and explain how you got them. You show the security footage of Bernard stealing from Marcus's practice. You show the evidence of spyware on your phone. You let the evidence speak for itself. And I'll be there with you, Lawrence added. I'll explain about the organization I've been tracking, the pattern of behavior, the connections to the Williams family. Between the two of us, we'll make sure people understand this isn't just a family dispute. This is organized crime targeting vulnerable people. I looked down at my hands, at the wedding ring I still wore, even though Lawrence had been gone for 20 years. I'd never remarried, never even dated seriously. Some part of me had still been waiting, I realized, waiting for him to come back, to explain, to make things right. And now he was here, trying to do exactly that. 20 years too late for our marriage, but maybe just in time to save my life. Okay, I said. Let's do this. Let's tell the world what really happened. The media gets involved. What happens when the story goes public? Comment below and subscribe for the next chapter. Jamal Winters looked exactly like a veteran investigative journalist should. Early 50s, salt and pepper natural hair, sharp eyes behind stylish glasses, and a no-nonsense demeanor that said he'd heard every story and wouldn't be easily fooled. He arrived with a small crew, a camera operator and a sound technician, and spent the first 30 minutes just listening. I told him everything, starting with the birthday dinner and working backwards through my relationship with Marcus, the Williams family, Lawrence's disappearance 20 years ago. He took notes, but didn't interrupt, his expression carefully neutral. When I finished, he sat back and studied me. "Ms. Carter, I'm going to be honest with you," he said. "This story has all the elements of a conspiracy theory: organized crime, police corruption, identity theft, family betrayal. The average person hearing this is going to think you're either paranoid or lying to cover your own guilt." My heart sank. "However," he continued, "you've also got evidence: security footage, forensic analysis of spyware, documented burns from an assault, and Lawrence's testimony about this organization he's been tracking adds context that makes your story more plausible. So here's what I'm thinking. We do a 2-part report. Part 1 focuses on your case specifically, the accusations against you, the evidence you've gathered, the suspicious circumstances. Part 2, which we'll publish a day or two later, takes a broader look at financial fraud targeting Black communities on the South Side, with your case as the centerpiece. Will that help? I asked. It'll create public pressure, Jamal said. Once your story is out there, the police will have to investigate properly, instead of just accepting the Williams family's version. And if there are corrupt officers involved, they'll have a harder time acting against you when there's media scrutiny. What about Marcus? Lawrence asked. He's going to be caught in the crossfire of this. He's already caught, Jamal pointed out. The question is whether he gets out as a victim of his in-laws' fraud or as someone who helped cover it up. The sooner he knows the truth, the better for him. We spent the next hour setting up for the interview. Jamal wanted to film in Lawrence's living room, with the corkboards of evidence visible in the background. Shows you've been taking this seriously, that you've been investigating, he explained. The camera operator positioned lights and adjusted angles, while the sound tech clipped a microphone to my collar. It all felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's life instead of living my own. Before we start, Jamal said, I need to warn you. Once this airs, you're going to get attention. Some supportive, some hostile. The Williams family will fight back. Probably claim you're lying or delusional. You might get threats. Your life will change. My life already changed, I said. The moment that soup hit my face, he nodded approvingly. Good. Hold on to that. That clarity, that anger. It'll come through in the interview. People will see that you're not some calculated criminal. You're a mother who's been betrayed and is fighting back. The interview took 2 hours. Jamal asked detailed questions, pushed back on inconsistencies, made me walk through every piece of evidence, step by step. He interviewed Lawrence separately about his history with the organization, about his evidence and research. He had Monica explain the spyware findings in the security footage. When we finished, I felt drained, empty, like I'd poured out every drop of emotion and had nothing left. This is going to run tomorrow morning, Jamal said, packing up his equipment. Front page of the Metro section, with the full video interview on our website. I'm also going to reach out to the police department for comment, see if they confirm or deny the investigation. What if they confirm it? I asked. What if they say I really am under investigation? Then we push harder on the evidence of your innocence, Jamal said. But my guess, either there's no real investigation yet, just Bernard Williams laying groundwork, or there is an investigation, but it's been compromised by whoever has access to those city servers Fletch found. After Jamal and his crew left, the house felt too quiet. Monica had gone home to work on enhancement of the security footage. Fletch was still tracing the spyware's origins. It was just Lawrence and me, sitting in his sparse living room, trying to process everything. "You did good," he said quietly. "You stayed strong, told the truth. Marcus is going to see that interview, and he's going to have to confront some hard questions about who he's chosen to believe. Or he'll just think I'm lying," I said. "Patricia's very convincing. She'll probably say I staged everything, that the security footage is fake, that I infected my own phone with spyware to create evidence." "Maybe," Lawrence admitted. "But there's going to be public pressure now. Other people asking questions. Marcus won't be able to just accept his in-laws' version without looking complicit." I pulled out my burner phone, staring at it like it might have answers. "I should call him. Try one more time to explain before the interview airs." "You really think he'll listen?" "I have to try. He's my son, Lawrence. Our son. I can't just give up on him." Lawrence was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I should have been there. All those years, I should have been there helping you raise him, teaching him, showing him what a man is supposed to be. Maybe if I had, he wouldn't be so easily manipulated by the Williams family." "You made the choice you thought you had to make," I said, surprising myself. 20 years, I'd hated him for leaving. And now I was defending him. "You were trying to protect us." "I was running away," he said bluntly. "I was scared. And I ran. I told myself it was for your protection. But really, it was for mine. And Marcus paid the price for my cowardice. He grew up without a father, which probably made him more vulnerable to someone like Bernard, who plays the father figure role. He had a point. Marcus had always been searching for that paternal approval, that male guidance. When Bernard had come into his life through Shanice, Marcus had latched onto him immediately, called him Dad within months, sought his advice on everything, tried to impress him. Maybe that's why Marcus was so quick to believe Bernard's accusations, because accepting that Bernard was lying would mean losing that father figure he'd always craved. "I'm going to call him," I decided, dialing before I could change my mind. The phone rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. Marcus's professional voice: "You've reached Dr. Marcus Carter. Please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible." "Marcus, it's Mom," I said, my voice shaking. "I know you don't want to hear from me. I know you think I'm guilty. But baby, please, just listen. Tomorrow there's going to be a news story about what happened, about the accusations against me, and the evidence I've found that someone else is responsible. I'm begging you to watch it, to really look at the evidence before you make up your mind completely. I love you. I've always loved you. And I would never, ever steal from you. Please just think about who I've been your whole life. Ask yourself if the mother who raised you, who sacrificed everything for you, would really do this. That's all I'm asking. Just think about it." I ended the call, not knowing if he'd even listen to the message, not knowing if it would make any difference. "Now we wait," Lawrence said. "The story runs tomorrow at 6 a.m. online. Hits the print edition at 7. By noon, everyone will know what happened. Including the Williams family," I said. "Including whoever sent that threatening text. What if they try something before the story runs? What if they try to stop us? That's why we're staying alert, Lawrence said, standing up and checking the locks on his doors and windows. That's why I've got security cameras outside and an alarm system. And that's why he opened a closet, revealing something I hadn't expected. A gun safe. Lawrence, I'm licensed, he said quickly. Legal owner, taken all the courses. And I've needed it before, when people I've helped have been targeted by the folks they were running from. I'm not looking for trouble, Diane, but I'm not going to be unprepared if trouble finds us. I should have been scared, should have protested, but instead, I just felt tired. Tired of being vulnerable, tired of being a victim, tired of relying on everyone else to protect me. Do you have a second one? I asked. He looked surprised. You want to learn how to shoot? I want to be able to protect myself, I said. No more depending on other people. No more being the helpless victim. If they come for me, I want to be ready. Something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. All right. Tomorrow, after the story runs, we'll go to a range. I'll teach you the basics. Thank you. We ordered takeout for dinner, Chinese food from a place that delivered, and ate mostly in silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. The burns on my face still hurt, despite the pain medication, a constant reminder of how quickly my life had changed. My burner phone buzzed. A text from Monica. Enhancement done. You need to see this. Coming over now. She arrived 20 minutes later with her laptop, her expression grim. I enhanced the security footage, she said, pulling up the video. Got clearer images of Bernard's face, clear enough to use as evidence. But I also found something else. She zoomed in on one of the frames. Bernard loading boxes into his SUV. But now, with the enhanced image, I could see someone else in the driver's seat of the vehicle. Someone I recognized. That's Dominique, I breathed. Shanice's younger sister. She's been part of this from the beginning, Monica said. Which means this isn't just Bernard acting alone. This is a family operation. Lawrence leaned in closer, studying the image. If Dominique is involved, then probably Essence is too. The three sisters are close. They do everything together, which means Shanice might know exactly what her family's doing. I finished, my heart sinking. She might have been part of framing me from the start. Or she might be as much a victim as you are, Monica cautioned. We can't assume everyone in the family knows everything, but we do know that at least Bernard and Dominique are involved in the thefts. That's provable. She pulled up more enhanced images, each one showing either Bernard or Dominique, sometimes both, removing items from Marcus's practice at odd hours. 5 separate incidents over 3 months, all documented by Nell's security cameras. This is everything we need, Lawrence said. This proves theft, proves access, proves opportunity. Combined with the spyware evidence and the fake bank account, we can show that someone with means, motive, and opportunity framed Diane. But will it be enough? I asked. Will it be enough to convince Marcus? It'll have to be, Monica said. Because once that interview airs tomorrow, the Williams family is going to launch a counterattack. They'll claim the footage is fake, that you hired someone to impersonate them, that this is all a desperate attempt to cover your guilt. We need to be prepared for that. How do we prepare? By having more evidence than they can possibly refute, she said. Fletch is still working on tracing the spyware to its origin. I'm working on finding out where Bernard sold the stolen equipment. And I've got a contact at the bank, someone who owes me a favor, looking into the account opened in your name. By the time the Williams family tries to discredit us, we'll have documentation coming out of our ears. My burner phone rang. Unknown number, again. Don't answer it, Lawrence said immediately. But I was tired of running tired of hiding. I answered and put it on speaker. "Hello?" Heavy breathing. Then a voice, distorted, clearly running through some kind of voice changer, spoke. "You should have taken the deal, Diane. You should have admitted what you did and made restitution. Now you've forced our hand. By going public, by involving the media, you've crossed a line, and there are consequences for crossing lines." "Who is this?" I demanded, even though I knew they wouldn't answer truthfully. "This is someone trying to save you from yourself. Last chance, drop the interview, drop the investigation, disappear quietly. We'll even sweeten the deal. We'll drop the charges against you, let you walk away. But you have to do it now, tonight, before the story runs. And if I don't, then Marcus isn't the only one who suffers. Then your son's practice gets shut down for good. Then his medical license gets investigated, his credentials questioned, his reputation destroyed. Then his children, your grandchildren, grow up knowing their father is a disgraced doctor who enabled embezzlement. Is that what you want? Is going public worth destroying your son's entire life?" My hand was shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. "You're threatening my grandchildren." "I'm explaining consequences," the voice said calmly. "Actions have consequences, Diane. You've been taking actions. Now you get to choose which consequences you prefer. Walk away, and Marcus keeps his practice, his reputation, his life, or keep fighting and watch everything he's built burn to the ground." The call ended. I stood there, phone in hand, trying to breathe through the panic rising in my chest. "They're bluffing," Monica said firmly. "They're trying to scare you into backing down because they know the interview will expose them. Don't let them manipulate you." "But what if they're not bluffing?" I looked at her desperately. What if they really can destroy Marcus's practice? What if fighting back makes things worse for him? "Diane," Lawrence said, taking my shoulders gently, "listen to me. Marcus's practice is already in danger. These people have already infiltrated it, already stolen from it, already compromised it. The only way to save it is to expose what they've done. If you back down now, they'll just keep bleeding him dry until there's nothing left." "He's right," Monica added. "This organization, if it really is as extensive as Lawrence says, they don't just take what they want and leave. They destroy people. They take everything. The only way to stop them is to fight back." "But my grandchildren will be fine," Lawrence said firmly. "Because we're not going to let anything happen to them. Because we're going to expose these people and make sure they face justice. Because that's the only way any of us stay safe." I thought about my grandson, Caleb, who was 5 and loved dinosaurs. About my granddaughter, Amara, who was 3 and had the sweetest laugh. About the world they were growing up in, where people like the Williams family could destroy lives with impunity if nobody fought back. "The interview runs tomorrow," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "We don't back down. We don't give in. We fight." Monica smiled. That's what I wanted to hear. She left shortly after, promising to have more evidence by morning. Fletch called with an update. He'd traced 2 of the command servers for the spyware to shell companies registered in Delaware, companies that were likely connected to larger criminal networks. It was progress, but not yet enough to definitively link the Williams family to the surveillance. "Keep digging," Lawrence told him. "We need that connection." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the guest room of Lawrence's house, staring at the ceiling, thinking about tomorrow, about Marcus watching the interview, about his reaction. Would he believe me? Would he see the evidence and realize he'd been manipulated? Or would he double down, convinced that I was the villain? Around 2 a.m., I heard a noise outside, a car driving slowly past the house, then stopping. Footsteps on the sidewalk. I was up immediately, heart pounding. Lawrence was already moving. I could hear him in the hallway, checking the security monitors. "Someone's out there," he called quietly. "Stay in your room, away from the windows." I ignored that advice, creeping into the hallway. On the monitor screens, I could see a figure in dark clothing approaching the house. They were carrying something. I couldn't make out what. Lawrence had the gun safe open, was loading a pistol with practiced efficiency. "Call 911, he told me. "Tell them there's an intruder." But before I could dial, the figure stopped. They placed something on the porch, an envelope, maybe, or a package, then turned and walked quickly back to the car. Within seconds, they were gone. We waited 5 minutes to make sure they were really gone. Then Lawrence, still armed, went to the door and carefully retrieved what they'd left. It was a manila envelope, sealed, with my name written on the front in block letters. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a printed message. "This is your last warning. Drop the interview or face the consequences. We know where Marcus lives. We know where his children go to school. We know everything. You can't protect them all, but you can save them by staying quiet. Choose wisely." And attached to the paper was a photograph, a recent photograph from just a few days ago of my grandson Caleb leaving his kindergarten, his little backpack bouncing as he walked toward the school entrance. Someone had been watching him. Someone had been close enough to take that photo. Someone was threatening my grandchild. I sank to the floor, the paper trembling in my hands. And, for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I started to truly doubt myself. What if fighting back wasn't worth it? What if protecting my pride, my reputation, wasn't worth putting Caleb and Amara in danger? What if the only way to keep them safe was to let the Williams family win? This just got even more serious. What should Diane do? Comment your thoughts and subscribe to find out what happens next.